Hi, all. Welcome to yet another good podcast series where we discuss global tech adoption trends, global SaaS adoption trends with global industry leaders. Today, we have one special guest with us, Ms. Anamika Sinha, who is the head of people and culture at Centrico. She comes with a plethora of experience and also recipient of a plethora of experience in the HR field, and she's also a recipient of one of some of the most coveted awards. Some of them are like Tamil Nadu HR leader from FICCI in the SME category, and also HR leader from the GCC workplace. And she has also worked in many large scale IT services like Prodapt, TCS, Cognizant. So let's welcome Anamika. Hi Anamika, thank you so much for joining us and taking out time for all of us in our audience, Anamika.
Hey, thank you so much, Nageshwari. The pleasure is all mine to be on your podcast.
Absolutely, Anamika. I'm looking forward to learn a lot of things from you, strategies and your new ideas in the HR field. Really looking forward to this conversation, Anamika. Sure.
Looking forward to it too. Yeah.
Absolutely. So let me start with your current role at Centrico, and if you could, to those of us who have very little idea about Centrico, if you can, start with your current role at Centrico and what is Centrico into, Anamika?
Okay. So, Centrico has been in India for almost like 28 plus years. And it's a GCC, what we call nowadays in our general parlance. And we are part of the Sella Group. So, Stella as an organization, largely it is mainly into banking sector. We call it Banca Stella is the largest, component of this Stella group that we have, and we service all the organizations under the Stella group, being part of their IT solutions. So, Centrico is spread across 3 countries.
Okay.
It is in the headquarter is in Italy, and we have offices also in Romania and India. So,
Okay.
this one thing very interesting about this organization, the Sella Group, is that this group has been for like more than 400 years into banking for around 150 years. But before banking, it was into agriculture, then textile, and then traditional banking, now modern banking. So with all the changes that is happening in the world, I think looking at the history of this organization, I feel that whatever be the transformation, the organizations which have vision and which adapts to change, it always has that kind of paradigm to change itself.
Sure. Uh, Thank you so much, Anamika. And your current role at Centrico?
So in Centrico, one second. Can you stop it? One second. Start off on.
Sure, Anamika, that's really good because I know as a GCC, there's a lot of effort going on in the branding. Many may not be aware of Centrico. Now, your current role at Centrico, Anamika.
Yeah. So before that, I think we were also not very, very market outward looking, because we were working for our own group company. But then we realized that it is not just about getting clients and customer. It is also about creating the identity for the people who work for the organization. And when you go out to attract talent, it is
Hmm.
very, very important to brand yourself. So
Yeah.
both from keeping the internal, employees happy, and to get people from outside, we realize that marketing is a very, very important component of our function. So coming to your question, what is it that I focus on and prioritize in this organization? So as the role goes, it says head of people and culture. So very subtly, but very in a very emphatic way, my organization has set the agenda for me when I joined, which was like 2 key areas: people and culture. So,
I have
uh,
a question around this actually. No, of late, I
okay.
started, observing people, positioning themselves as a people and culture head, Anamika.
Hmm.
So other than the versus the traditional HR leader, right? So is there
Hmm.
really what goes in the minds of employees? Do they really, respond differently to this title versus the normal HR title, Anamika?
So first of all, I don't think we HR people position ourselves as a head of people and culture. It is the expectation of the organization itself
Okay.
which gets communicated to us through this title. So I would look at it like that. I think if I summarize it in one line, the organization basically tells you whatever you have learned as HR, whatever you have understood in the other organization, please do not come here and copy paste all of that you have in your mind in terms of what you think is the role of the HR.
Okay.
You are told very in a very simple term that your job is to look after the people, to focus on the culture that enables the employees of this
Yeah.
organization. So that
Okay.
really sets the tone and expectation for somebody who is in a role like mine. So how it translated for me personally, the first thing that I thought that connecting with my people is very important. So when I joined this company, the first few months and even now, the focus was on connecting with every segment of the organization, from top leadership to the newest joiner of the organization, from the senior most to the junior most. So that was something which was very important to listen and understand what they think of this organization, what is it that they expect from the function, and what are the things they are comfortable with, what are the things that would not work for them. So
Okay.
that was very important to be successful, to understand through the slice and dice of the organization, to first know the organization and understand its expectation. Now, again, the culture is very important part because it enables the people and it enables the organization. So, what does it essentially comprise of? If I look, it is not just what I see it as, it is something what every individual in this organization has built collectively and what we all see it as collectively. So some of the important things obviously was we are a organization for which technology is the bread and butter. So the learning the focus on learning was the most important. So that was something that culture had to be enabled by us and that had to be encouraged by us. The second comes performance. How do we differentiate between performance? What is it that we expect from people in terms of performance? That was very important. The behaviors that we wanted to encourage, that was something that formed the part of the culture. The experience that we give to people in terms of digital experience that we give, in terms of learning experience that we give, in terms of how they feel about the organization, uh, how we prioritize their well-being and club it with the organization's policies and processes, that was very important. So bringing together what I do as well as what the organization expects, I think this is the amalgamation of all of it. And obviously, it all goes with the normal recruitment that we do, the digital transformation that we have
Yeah.
been part of, the L&D activities and leadership development. All of it then flows into the expectation that we have and what I have understood about my role.
No, sure, sure. Thanks for sharing. Right? And also you mentioned about the digital transformation. So
Yes.
just curious to know what is Centrico currently focusing on when it is coming to technology? Which are the different projects that it is currently? Because as I mentioned, our audience is also the startup founders who would definitely like to know and, wherever possible, like to partner and help organizations like you, Anamika.
Uh, See, we are focusing on the bank and how it enhances the experience of its own client and customer. So that is the end customer is what is our key focus as an organization ultimately. In terms of our, today what is the focus is obviously the global focus for everybody, which is how do we be in tune, be aligned with the generative AI, the revolution that we have been seeing. And internally, we have been building these skills, right from the start, I would say. It has been our focus. We have been one of the first movers. So understanding, yeah. So whether it was when the prompt engineering had just come in, we were really experimenting on it and we were focusing on it. Then when it has come to vibe coding or MCP or agentic, our own group of experts have been experimenting with it, learning with it, and then they have been imparting the knowledge to the rest of the organization. And as an organization, we are giving all the tools and technology which is possible and which they require, along with encouraging the people who are using it and taking along everybody in this journey. So that has been our focus. So right now, yeah.
Sorry. So no, so wonderful, right? So this is happening in India, and then you're experimenting, or it's global contribution.
It is happening globally. Initially, we took up specific. We formed a core group. We
Okay.
had these identified projects. We did these pilot projects, and then it kind of seeded it across the organization. And today, it is happening at all the it is happening in India. It is happening in Romania. It is happening in Italy, and we are working together. We are sharing our experiences together. So it is beyond the boundaries and it is beyond all levels, and it is beyond, I would also say, functions. So everybody today in our organization is kind of putting in their bit to contribute to this journey that we have.
No, wonderful. So again, I will go a little deep in that this aspect, Anamika. So whenever you're coming, you said that your internal team itself is experimenting a lot.
Yes.
So
Yes.
how do you? I mean, how do you procure such talent initially? Is it the experienced talents, or you go to the Gen Zs? Because this is something that we come across from the other HR leaders also, that Gen Zs are really performing well, and we have a mandate to onboard a lot of Gen Zs who are already very used to the today's technology. Anamika.
Now, I think this is something that I have spoken to my industry colleagues also, and it is a myth that only the newer generation is experimenting. The wonderful part is that the most successful experiments are not just happening from the younger ones, it is
Okay.
happening from experienced people, people who really understand the technology, people who really understand the domain. If you I'll give you a very simple example. I am an HR, right? I can use all the available Gen AI tools to create a deck, suppose on performance management. But
Mm.
until and unless I understand what is performance management, what
Ah,
are the areas in which the deck should talk about,
mm.
the output that I get can easily fool me. I will be just taken, by the kind of design that is there and the language is there. But when you dig deeper, and all of us who have used it, we know how many times we have to ask the right set of questions to get the right kind of output.
Ah,
And that is where you really need the experience. And
oh,
today, I must say, if I look at my own organization, it is not just the Gen Zs who are, experimenting. It is a mid level, it is the leadership level, it is the senior level, it is the HR people, it is the finance person. Everybody is using and trying to get the best out of, how their function can be helped with the generative AI tool. So I would really not say that it is all about Gen Z. It is about everybody who is using it.
mm,
And coming to the second part of it, hiring Gen Z, that obviously is part of our people strategy. And it is never old fashioned to get trainees onto your system, because they bring in fresh perspective. They bring in a lot of energy, and you need to have that pyramid. If you are not training, bringing in people, if you're not training, if you're not bringing in people who are really connected to the culture of the organization, because they have not seen outside world, they really imbibe your culture with a lot of openness. If you don't have that set which sticks together, then after some time you will see that your pyramid is moving into the mid level and senior level, and you don't have people to move into the bottom level of the pyramid. So it's a very, very organic process. And we also keep hiring people from time to time, and we train them and we groom them internally on the skill and the culture and the internal tools that we have. So training and development is a very, very integral part of, IT sector itself, I would say.
Yeah. So how does this, you mentioned about training and development, right? So how does this happen? And you're also a strategic business partner, right? So could you explain how that flow comes? It obviously it comes from the top management, and then uh, communicate to the line managers, So if you can throw some light on that process, Anamika.
Yeah. So it all starts from the organization's perspective, or how it looks at its future, both short term, mid term, and long term, right? So, how do I see myself as an organization growing, not growing? What are the kind of technologies that I look at in terms of my future will look at? What are the kind of projects that we are going to look at? So from there, we get two numbers, essentially the number of people, and we get the tech stack that we are going to focus on.
Okay.
Now from there, obviously you look at what you already have, and then you look at what you might be losing, and then you look at what is the future that will the requirement will be. So
Yeah.
from there you get your skill gap analysis, right?
Okay.
And then you build your build and buy strategy from there.
Okay.
This is what I will take as something which I will be buying, or what I will be hiring. These are the numbers, because not everything you can train. There will be a mix that you will be hiring. From hiring, you will segment it into lateral hiring. You will look at it from the campus hiring perspective. Then you come down to the very important component, which is your training, learning, and development.
Yeah.
Some bit of it you are looking at cross project. You want people to learn different domains. They have spent certain time, so that's where your fluidity comes into picture.
Yeah.
Right? People have
Yeah.
already spent certain amount of time in the project, and they want to have a different flavor. They want of technology of project. And then you look at essentially learning and development from three perspective. What is it that the organization wants to look at from in terms of its skill, and where the gap is, and the people can be trained. Then you can look at individuals performance, and what is the gap that they have in terms of their current and their future role that they are aspiring. So we run something called individual development plan. So in that we tell them, okay, there will be some training programs which will be assigned to you as organization mandate. Some will be personalized, which will be based on what you need to go to your further role or your current role gap. And the third is also something that you are interested in doing, and it aligns with the organization. So, and then we again break it to your domain, your functional, your technology, and your behavioral requirements. So that's the matrix that we create. And from there, we create the quarterly and annual learning development plan. So it's a very thought through, very structured plan, which involves both organizational perspective and individual perspective as well. And there is a bind between the individual and the manager, and organization looks at it comprehensively, and we have tools which enables that.
Absolutely. Yeah, you mentioned tools. I was about to ask that. And I saw your LinkedIn profile. You also have experience with the prompt engineering. So I'm sure you would have experiment different AI tools in the HR processes, Anamika. So if you can share which are the different tools that you have been using and how far it has been useful and productive in the HR process. And also, if you are partnering with any startups again here, Anamika.
I without taking the name of the tools, I would say in my previous organization on current role, I will tell you what are the few things that we have used the tools for the HR productivity. And it is not that just with generative AI the AI tools have come, or the ML tools have come. No, it has been used much before that, especially if I take the example of recruitment. So recruitment, I think, was one of the function where AI and ML really helped us. Even if I go back to 5-6 years back, also in terms of when you have these search and match engines, when we started, we actually worked along with one of these ATS platforms or product that we had. And it really helped in terms of, if you look at a scenario where you have thousands of recruiter, and forget thousand, even if you have 10 recruiter, each
Yeah.
one is downloading resume, each one is putting in
Yeah.
the effort of talking to the people. Sometimes they meet your requirement A, they may not meet the requirement B that you are currently working on, but some other recruiter needs that information and it eases out their job. And you have these thousands and thousands of resumes kept on your desktop. If you put it on that ATS, it helps in two things. It helps
Executive.
somebody, yeah, it integrates every piece of information that you have, and
Yeah.
it gives a view to that what has been the last stage that the organization has worked on with this particular candidate. And you get a life cycle. Even
Mm.
if the person has been repeatedly attending for interview, you were not having any information. So that helps you in terms of compliance. It helps you in terms of information. It helps you in terms of really consolidating every individual's effort that your organization has been putting through. So that was very important. And then with all the lakhs and lakhs of CV that you have, you cannot replace human being, but at least which are the top 100 profiles that matches that requirement,
Mm.
that your ATS engines gave. And when machine learning, it helped in terms of when you are validating certain kind of profiles, the machine was learning, right? And then it was giving you a better match. So now the recruiter's job was reduced from going end to end for every time you get a requirement to
Yeah.
finding those top 10, 20 CVs and coming back with it and the candidate experience that came along with it. Now the
Mm.
candidate was getting, they were also able to see where their process was, how it was moving, where it was stuck, who is your point of contact, and your
Mm.
single point of, information sharing that you want to do in terms of putting all your documents. The onboarding or induction became a 5-minute induction with that. And I think today every organization is using that, is a copy paste,
Yeah,
which
I think
now
it is
most of the,
very common.
it has become very common. So that is one area where forget
I
the
don't
ATS
know,
tool.
but
Forget.
recently the one feature which is upcoming, Anamika, is the bots making the calls,
Yes.
the interview calls.
Yes.
Are you people also using it by any chance?
We are not using because of the volume that we require or not require, but
Oh.
it is a, I think if you do it in a right way, it really helps. So
Yeah.
both internally, we are also trying to work on internal bots. So it really helps because in terms of the information that you want readily available at a given point in time, you
Yeah.
get through those agents that are getting created today, right? And it
Yeah.
is not like bot was the previous version, which used to give you a very structured answer and it was
Yeah.
a little
No, it's like a
artificial.
human bot. It's like absolutely, you cannot make out that it's a human voice or
Yes,
it's.
not just the voice, it is also how they take the information. They do not, the agents today do not take the information just from one source. They integrate the information from various sources that you have from your various databases, and then they give you an answer. So it is, they calculate. So suppose if, today as an employee, I ask, am I eligible for 7,500 certification claim? Can I do that? The bot will look at my eligibility as per my designation, how much already I have claimed, and then it will give me not an answer that at your level the eligibility is suppose 50,000. It will tell me your eligibility is 50,000, you have utilized 25,000, now your remaining is another 25,000. Out of that, 7,500 you can utilize. That's
And
what
how
an
you
agent does.
utilize also. It will take, can I tell you how it is
Yes.
being utilized?
Absolutely. And it can tell you what are the things that you can utilize. So that is the difference between the chatbot that we had, which people found it very artificial to use, and the agent that is now being created, which really makes you feel, why should I even go to HR for this question? I will rather ask at my leisure at 12 a.m. in the midnight and I will do. So
Yeah.
that changes the experience perspective. So yeah, that is why people will not have that problem if they get a call from agent, because you are made to feel like you're interacting with human being.
Yeah.
And the recruiter obviously works on more fundamental and more the major problem that you would have heard, recruiters don't pick up the call. They are
Yeah.
not picking up the call because they don't want to pick up the call, because everybody is calling them for every
Calling
other
them.
reason. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So then you filter out a lot of the traffic, you divert it, and you do the meaningful job. So that's where
Absolutely.
I think technology is really helping in terms of experience, both internally and externally. And for us also, the kind of work that we were doing, PPT making was like a 5-day event. Today, tell me who is not
5 minutes.
using
Yeah, I know.
apps. So
Absolutely.
yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
And I asked about, because this seems to be very interesting and, and we are in India, startups are booming and, every now and then you get, this startup got funding and that. So are you anyways, anyhow partnering with the startups in these AI or the Gen AI experimentation, Anamika?
Not right now. We aren't. As I told you, we have been kind of
Exactly.
doing it. We have been working on it, and I think this is the biggest thing about generative AI. You
Mm.
have all the tools available to learn. That's the best part about generative AI. You can ask it how I should learn
Oh,
generative AI tools, and it will teach you how to do things. So if
sure.
you are inquisitive, if you really get some guidance, and if you're passionate about it, it helps. Obviously, not to say that their organization definitely buying and building and integrating a lot of generative AI tool, but yeah.
Okay, sure, Anamika. Now you come going back to your experience, right? You had an experience recruiting and as an HR lead in large IT services companies,
Mhm.
and now in the GCCs also. So what is the difference, Anamika? What is the difference that you observed and difference in terms of the challenges and how did you face it, Anamika?
See, each organization has a different culture.
Mm,
Each organization has a different nuance,
mm,
and each organization has its kind of, even within the segment, and with the changing times, everybody has a changing, I would say, difficulty that they face. So the IT industry that was there, even the bigger organizations that I worked with, and now what they are doing, it is very, very different. So the challenge is typically, if you look at now I think times have changed, but initially what the GCCs really faced
mm.
was the branding perspective, I would
Yeah,
say.
I was about to come to that. Yeah.
Yes. So initially, people were very, very, they wanted to join organizations,
Mm,
especially pre-COVID era. The
yeah.
focus was a lot on the branding part of it. Which brand do I go?
Yeah.
How stable is the job over there? Do I know? There was also about, do my relatives and friends know about this organization? So I
Yeah.
think in last 10 years that has kind of changed, and that has made it easier for GCC, and people have started understanding that there is a different culture that a GCC brings in. There is a depth of learning that GCC brings in. So yeah, attracting talent would have been difficult at some point in time. It is still there, but
Yeah.
it has kind of it has become a little easier, and we have also understood the need of going to the market with our visibility and branding. The other thing is also in terms of when you do bulk hiring, it's a
Yeah.
different proposition altogether, right?
Yeah.
You have the, you can fail with your hiring. You have that scope when you're hiring for a large organization. If a person doesn't fit into A project, he or she can still fit into B project, and those are the economy of scale that you get. But if you look at GCCs, it is very in depth. You are working for an organization, you're brought in because there is a depth of domain and technology that you will have to work on. It is your own project. You are
Yeah.
not being hired to just do a superficial layer of work. You are being hired to do the complete stack of the work. So the quality that will be expected will be much more higher. The depth of interview that will happen will be definitely much more higher. So the patience that you need to have to get the right set of people is definitely one of the major requirements in GCC, which is a little, I would not generalize it, but
Okay.
in traditional organization, it gives you the economy of scale, I would say, in terms of hiring.
Oh, got it, Anamika. Now we're coming to the last question of this podcast, which I asked most of our guests, Anamika. So, what will be your advice, Anamika, and what are you for your aspiring women or HR leader for that matter in the GCC space who look up to you and look up to you and want to become like you in future. So, what are your rituals, and which are the books, or how do you upskill yourself, and what would be your advice to those who want to, travel through the same path as yours, Anamika?
The first thing that I would say is whichever organization you join as an HR, first understand the culture of the organization, understand the people that you have in the organization. That context is very, very important. So applying context is important. The first thing. The second thing is internally you should realize that you are as powerful as you think you are. That is something that I always tell all my colleagues. It is not about the role name. It is not about the designation. If you have the conviction that what you are doing is right, if you have that the individual strength within you, you can really make a difference in any role that you play, and that's where you kind of grow. The third is to not give a lot of value to your limiting beliefs and the limiting noises that come inside your head. if some
Self-doubt.
if Yeah, the self doubt about the organization. No, the more you believe in the positive outcome, it will happen. If you think about all the constraints that are around it, then you will only be thinking about the constraint. So first thing is believe this will happen, and then make everything come around that and kind of happen. uh, One thing that HR needs to know is, most of the time we say that, why did you get into HR? And it is because I love working with people. Everybody loves working with people. In every role you need to be working with people, and HR, it is an essential component. But knowing technology, being kind of knowing where the world is going, understanding the market, that is very, very important. In whichever segment or industry you're working, you should know what the industry looks like. You should know what is changing. You should know what are the critical technologies, how is it skilled, upskilled, what will work, what will not work, what are the salaries. Even if you're not into that particular function where you need to know, you should still know. And whenever some new technology comes, experiment with it. Then you will be able to understand the language, you will be able to understand the jargon. So that's very, very crucial to be able to speak the language. That's
So, how
necessary.
do you keep yourself positive, Anamika? Your everyday, do you follow meditation or gratitude writing? What is your ritual? Just curious to know.
As a coach, as somebody who's trained on emotional intelligence, these are very, very good ways of doing that.
Oh, you're a
But
coach already yourself?
I am training
Oh,
for the coach. I have got NLP certification, and I am coaching. I'm doing that 100-hour coaching for to become ACC certified.
oh, wow.
That journey is started. But essentially, if you say, I think Indians are born spiritual people. We have that. I do not meditate, but definitely there is a positive approach that I always have towards everything. The one thing that I do is internal gratification. That is very important. If you look towards outside world to say thank you, to tell you have done good, it may sometimes fall short. What
Mm,
I do is I look at myself and I know what I have done well, and I appreciate myself. I
oh,
know where I have failed, and I tell, okay, you have not given your best and you need
okay,
to do better. You need to learn. And
okay.
that way, that internal locus of control has really helped me in having a lot of positivity. The second thing that I really do as an individual is to have a lot of other interest in life also.
Mm,
It is work is very, very essential, very crucial to me. My children are very important to me, but I also do things like gymming, swimming.
okay.
I spend time with my friends. Every year, it's a ritual that we all go on a all girls trip. I have
Wow.
done solo traveling in Europe. So when you travel a lot, when you do things for yourself,
Mm,
it gives you that positivity. It gives you the strength and belief in yourself. So though that is my meditation largely.
wow. Wonderfully put, Anamika. Sure. I thoroughly enjoyed each part of this podcast, Anamika. And I also look forward to being in touch with a wonderful person like you in your future, Anamika. Thank you so
Very
much.
insight. Very insightful question, Nageshwari, and it made me talk about the experiences. So I thoroughly enjoyed being a part of your podcast.
Same. Likewise, Anamika. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Anamika.
Thank you. Take care.